Okay. So any questions, guys, on yesterday's class? Okay, fine then. So first we'll see all the options, all the available options in adding the disks to the aggregate and increasing the size of the aggregate. After that, we'll go through the remaining options of aggregate. Okay. So yesterday I've shown you how to create a new write group and add the disk to the new write group in the aggregate, and how to add the disks to the existing write group. Okay. Now one aggregate, okay, which is on node 1. Okay. So now let's assume that my aggregate is about to full. Now again, I need to increase my aggregate, or else my clients will run out of space, and yeah, it will cause problems. Okay. So, but when you check here, I have only 4 spare drives on node 1. Okay. And just check the aggregate layout. There is a command called show status. Okay. So by using this command, okay, you can check the RAID layout, AGGR, show hyphen status, and aggregate name. Okay, if you run this command, then it will give you in detail information about the aggregate, like how many RAID groups it has, and how many disks in each RAID group. Everything it is going to give us. Okay, and which disk is a parity, and which disk is a D parity, and what all the disks contains the data. Everything it will show you in detail. Okay, see here RG0, RG1, and don't worry about the plex for now. Okay, I'm going to discuss that little later, because for normal aggregates, plex will not play any key role. Okay, it will play crucial role only for mirror aggregates. Okay, we are going to talk about maybe mirror aggregates later today, or maybe tomorrow. Okay, then I'll talk about the plex as well. Okay. So here I have 2 RAID groups, and each RAID group contains 5 drives, 5 disks. And now let me check what is my RAID group size, fields, max, dir size. My RAID group size is also 5. That means my both the RAID groups are full, and I cannot add the disk to the existing aggregate. Sorry, existing RAID groups in the aggregate. But in order to create a new RAID group with a DP, how many disks do I need? I need 5 disks, right? But how many I have? I have only 4 disks. Okay, I have only 4 disks. So what I'm going to do in this kind of scenario, what you can do, if you have enough spares on node 2, you can remove the spares from node 2, and you can add them under node 1, and then you can utilize them. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to, and one more thing is I'm going to remove 2 disks, because if I remove the 1 disk from node 2 and add it to node 1, I'll be having only 5 disks, and I need 5 disks to create a new write group and add it to the existing aggregate, right? So if I do that, I'll be having no spares in this node 1. So no spares means if any disk got failed in aggregate, okay, there are no disks to replace the failed drive. That's why I just want to be on safe side. So it is best practice to maintain at least 1 spare disk per disk type and disk size. For example, I have SAS drives, then you need to maintain at least 1 SAS drive in spare pool. And I have a SATA, and you need to maintain at least 1 SATA drive in the spare pool. And if you have SSD, uh, at least you have to maintain 1 SSD in the spare pool. Okay, that is a recommendation. Okay, so I'm going to remove the 21 and 22 disk ownership from node 2, and I'll assign it under node 1. And by the way, guys, these are non-ADP drives which I'm showing right now. Okay, AGG, sorry, disk remove owner disk ID. So as I told you, I'm removing 21, 22 disk ownership. Now, if you run the spare disk command, see, I'm not able to see 21 and 22. And if you run this command, this show hyphen container hyphen type unassigned, you'll be able to see both of the disks in unassigned state. That means these two are not owned by any controller. So now I'll add them under controller one. Assign hyphen disk. Actually, what I can do, I can use disk list command now, so that I can assign ownership to both the disks at a time. Okay, and owner. Who is the owner? I want to add them under controller one. That's it. Now, if you run the spare disk command again, see, now I have 6 disks, right? So out of 6, I'm going to add the 5 disks to the aggregate, so that I can get some space. It will create a new RAID group and all, so I'll get some free space under aggregate. So AGGR add disks. Which aggregate I'm adding? I'm adding it to aggregate called AGGR1. And to which RAID group option you want to use? Are you adding it to the existing RAID group, or are you creating a new RAID group? Here I'm creating a new RAID group. And how many disks you want to add? I want to add 5 disks. Disk type is the, yeah, that's it. Remaining things not required. Okay. Now check the RAID layout, show status, aggregate name. See, now I have 3 RAID groups: RG0, RG1, RG2. Okay. This is a one more scenario. Now let's assume that again my aggregate is about to full. Okay, again my aggregate is about to full. I'm going to remove 23 as well. Node 1. Nothing. I have just removed the one more disk from node 2 ownership, and I'm assigning it under node 1. Okay. Okay. Now let's assume that I have only 2 spares left on the node 1. Okay. But my aggregate is about to full. Okay. Let's assume that I don't have any spare drives on node 2 as well. Let's assume that. Okay. I have only 2 disks available on node 1, and let's assume that only 1 or 2 disks available on node 2 as well. So even if I remove the disks from node 2 and add them to the node 1, that doesn't make any sense, because I need total of 5 drives. And one more thing is, at least I have to maintain 1 spare drive per controller, right? So in this kind of scenario, normally we'll do everything proactively. Like that means we'll continuously monitor the aggregate utilization. Based on that only, we'll order the disks if required from NetApp. We'll do all those things. But for example, unexpectedly aggregate utilization increased. In this kind of scenario, again, in order to increase the my existing RAID groups are already full. They are 5. I mean, I can put only 5 disks in each RAID group, and all 3 RAID groups has 5 disks. So in this kind of scenario, when you don't have enough disks to create a new RAID group, what you can do, you can increase the RAID group size. Okay, increase the RAID group size 5 to some other number, so that you will get a room to add disks to the existing RAID group, right? Existing RAID group. Let me show you how to do that. AGGR modify aggregate name. So what option you want to modify? I want to modify, right, max RAID size. Max RAID size. So max RAID size, earlier it is 5. Now I'm just changing it to 6. It will not impact anything. This is a non-disruptive operation. No downtime required. Nothing will happen. Okay. What it will do? Just it has increased the write group size on aggregate. That means now I have 3 write groups in my aggregate. So in now all 3 write group size will become 6. That means I can add one more disk to all the write groups. Okay. So for time being, what I'll do? Okay, aggr add disks, aggregate name. How many disks you want to add? I want to add only one disk because I don't have more than that. Disk type SSD and the write group. To which write group you want to add? Let me add it to RG0. You can add it to any write group. Okay. So what it is saying is you are adding only one disk group. I mean one disk to RG0, which will make the discount on that write group as 6. Okay. And as we have parity and deparity already there in that write group, whatever disk we are adding now, it will be considered as a data disk, so that the disk size automatically will be added into, I mean, will gain the total amount of space of the disk in aggregate. Okay. Say yes. Now if you see that your aggregate got increased. Okay. This is a procedure which you can use in emergency situations by increasing the write group. But if already your write group is at maximum limit, like 28 is the maximum, I told you, right? So already your aggregate is at 28, then you can't increase your write group size more than that. Already your aggregate write group size is configured to 28 and you have 28 disks on all write groups, then you can't do anything. You must have to create a new write group by adding at least minimum of minimum drives. Okay. Any questions, guys, so far? Or do you want me to, if you don't understand, just tell me so that I'll repeat it.
Yeah, Naveen, you said 28 maximum disks, right? It's
Yeah.
including all writes or particular
No.
like individual write.
In a single write group, it is a
Okay.
28
Yeah.
max.
Thank you.
In aggregate there is no disk limit, uh,
Okay.
like a number of disks you can add as many as you want, but there is a limitation at size. The
Okay.
maximum aggregate size you can create now, I think it is 400 TB or something right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, 400. You cannot create a single aggregate more than 400 TB. Okay. And again, that is not for all the controllers. It depends on a controller model and data on tap version.
Yeah.
Okay,
Got it. Yeah.
all controller models
Yeah.
might not support 400 TB. Yeah. Okay. If you don't have any questions, yeah, then let's proceed. So now, if you take a look at the aggregate layout, see now my first write group has 6 drives and second 2 write groups has 5 drives. One more thing, best practice from NetApp is NetApp will recommend you to maintain same number of disks in all the write groups. That is the best practice recommended by NetApp. It is not a mandatory thing, but it is a best practice to maintain a balance across all the write groups so that it will not impact the performance of your aggregate. Okay. So as a emergency precaution, I have increased the write group size and I have added one disk to the write group 0 on Agar 1. Okay. Now I have purchased the disks from NetApp. Let's assume that I have purchased the disk from NetApp and now I have enough spares in my node 1 spare pool. So what I'm going to do, in order to follow the NetApp best practices, I'm going to add one more disk on RG1 and one more disk on RG2. Okay, I'm going to add disk to RG2. Okay, You can ask me a question like, why do we need to add two disks? You can remove the existing disk, right? No. See, one more thing, guys. Just remember it. You can add the disks from disks to aggregate, but you cannot remove the disks from aggregate. That is not possible. Okay, you have to delete entire aggregate. That is the only option. There is no way to remove the disk from aggregate. Okay, they might ask you this in interview. Okay, can we remove the disk? You have to say no. There is no way. Okay. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'm going to add one disk here, one disk here. This time I'll not specify write group number individually. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use all option. When if I use all option, what it is going to do, it is going to search for the free write groups on its own, and it will add the disk to the free write groups automatically. Okay, but I don't have enough space again. I have only one space. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove two more disks from here, 24 and 25. Let me remove that disk ownership, 24, 25 as well. Now let me add the ownership again. Yeah, disk list 25, 24. Now check the spare pool, three disks. So what I'm going to do, AGGR add disks, which aggregate I'm adding, and how many disks you want to add. You can let me show you one thing. I'm just keeping three. Okay, I'm mentioning that add all three of them. See what will happen. Okay, but I can add only two disks, right? Right group, in right group option, I'm mentioning all. That means it will search in all right groups and it will add the disks automatically. Disk type is SSD. Okay, that's it. Now let's see what will happen. See what it is saying is it can add one disk to RG1 and one disk to RG2 because those are the two write groups where we have a room to add one disk. And what it is saying is it is throwing one warning and it is showing that this much amount of capacity you are going to gain by doing this. And it is throwing warning like one or more disks will not be added, three disks specified, only two disks can be added because we don't have a room for third disk in any of the existing write groups. That is the reason. And one more thing is it cannot create a new write group with a one disk, right? We need minimum of five disks. That is the reason it is sending back the third disk to spare pool again. Okay, that is what. Now get the spare pool command. See again, my disk is sent back to spare pool. And if you look at the RAID layout, see now all my RAID groups has 6 disks on them. Okay. Any questions, guys? Because this is very, very important. Adding the disks to aggregate.
No, no, I am good from my end.
Cool. Now I'll show you how to delete the aggregate. Okay. First, in order to delete the aggregate, first you need to bring it offline. Offline. Okay. AGGR offline aggregate name. That's it. Hit enter. Now it offline the aggregate. And if you check the aggregate status now, AGGR show, see it is showing offline. Okay. Now, if you want to, for example, you don't want to delete it, you want to bring aggregate online again, just online. That's it. Aggregate is online now. Whenever my aggregate is offline, my clients will be not able to access the data that's stored on this aggregate. Okay. they will lose access to it. Generally, we don't offline the aggregates unless we want to delete them. Okay. Now let me do offline it again. So I want to delete it because without offlining it, you cannot delete the aggregate. Let me try. Okay. It will throw a warning. See, aggr delete aggregate name. Oh, maybe they have added this in your version. I'm not sure. Okay. Earlier, it used to ask us to put it in offline mode. Then only yeah, it used to allow us to delete the aggregate, or else it will throw an error. How to make the aggregate offline, then only it will allow. But yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe they have added it in recent ONTAP versions. Okay, yeah. So see, now my aggregate is got deleted, and whatever the disks you used under this aggregate, okay, all of them will come back to spare pool again. See, I have plenty of disks in my spare pool, node 1 spare pool, because all the disks so far under agar 1, again they came back to spare pool of a node. Okay. And one more thing, guys, you might have noticed it here. It is showing in status, it is showing something called not zeroed. Okay. Not zeroed means nothing but there is some data in these disks. Okay. Okay. They are not zeroed. Zeroed means nothing but here in NetApp, normally we'll call it as formatting, right? We'll format our pen drive whenever we want to reuse it in order to clean the data on the pen drive. The same way, whenever if you want to reuse the drives, what you need to do, you need to perform zeroing. Zeroing means nothing but kind of formatting only. Okay. Whenever you see the disk status as not zeroed, it is best practice to zero them on your own. I mean, you can use them without non-zeroing as well. Whenever you are creating aggregate, okay, first ONTAP will zero them. ONTAP will perform zeroing on them. Then only it will create aggregate with those disks. But sometimes, based on the disk size and based on the disk type, the zeroing process will take some time, so that it will add additional delay in aggregate creation. Okay, so and one more thing is, whenever you find a disk in not zeroed space state in spare pool, okay, for example, one of my disk in aggregate got failed. Okay, let's assume that. Okay, one of my disk in aggregate got failed. Now I have a spare drive, but which is in not zeroed state. Okay, not zero, not zeroed state. So let's assume that this disk got failed. Okay, now this disk has to go there and replace it. But as this is in not zeroed state, first what it will do, first ONTAP will run zeroing on top of this drive. Once zeroing is completed, then only it will, this disk can be replaced the failed drive. So it will take some time, right? During this time, if one more disk got failed, it will add additional complexity, right? It will put our aggregate in risk. So that is the reason, one more reason, whenever you find something called not zeroed in the disk status in the spare pool, perform zeroing manually. Okay, don't wait until aggregate creation or failed disk will ONTAP uh, will perform the zeroing automatically. Okay, do it is a very simple command, disk zero space. That's it. As this is a lab, it will complete very quickly, but when it comes to real time, it will take some time to perform zeroing. Okay, it will be not completed very quickly. See now, because these are small drives, right? Normally it will take some time to complete zeroing based on the disk size and disk type. SSDs, it will be very quick. And again, if it is SSDs and the 10 TB drives or 8 TB drives, it will take some time. Okay, but if it is SATA or SAS, then yeah, it will take maybe a day also. We can't predict that. Okay, any questions now? See, the status zeroed. That means they are ready to use immediately. Okay, yes, guys. Hello. Okay.
Yeah,
Then
Naveen, I am here.
yeah. Okay. Then let's proceed further. Now there is an option called auto provision. Auto provision. So what this auto provision will do, by using auto provision also you can create aggregate. Okay, you don't need to specify anything. Okay, so what it will do, based on the disks you have on top of that node, see the command is just aggr auto provision and hyphen nodes, and you need to specify the node name. That's it. This is the full command. Okay, when you hit enter, then what it will do, it will check all the spare drives in that particular node. Okay, based on the size, based on the disk type, it will find the appropriate RAID group setting and RAID type for those disks, and it will apply the NetApp best practices automatically, and it will create aggregate for you. Okay, you don't need to specify anything. No RAID group size, no RAID type, nothing. Everything will be uh, selected by ONTAP automatically according to the NetApp best practice. See, I'm going to run this command now. So let's see what kind of setting it is going to do for us. Okay, not yet created. So in order to check the process, this command you need to run. Okay, aggregate show auto provision process. It is creating right now. You don't need to run a full command. Show auto provision process. We can run this as well. See, it's completed. It created aggregate now. Now, if you run IGGR show, see, I'm able to see aggregate. Even name also, it will decide automatically. Okay, this is the size. Now let's check the RAID layout of the aggregate. See, it created only a single RAID group by adding all 18 disks to the single RAID group. Okay, this is the best practice. Uh, I mean, the best configuration ONTAP can do for this type and these many disks. And one more thing, if you observe that, it will not add all disks to the aggregate. It will leave at least one disk in the spare pool. It has 19 disks, so it added only 18 disks to the to create the aggregate. It used only 18 disks because, as I told you, we must maintain at least one disk in the spare pool to replace the failed drive. Okay, that is what best practice it followed. Okay, if you want, like, you can use this so that it will create aggregate automatically, auto provision. Just remember that. Okay. Okay, let's see all the remaining options on aggregate. AGGR, hit tab. Already we know add disks. Add disks can be used to create add the aggregates to the existing aggregate. Auto provision also just now we saw. This is for provisioning the aggregate automatically according to the ONTAP best practices, NetApp best practices. Create also we know this is to create the aggregate, and delete also we have already tested it. It is to delete the aggregate. Efficiency, encryption, mirror. Okay, these are advanced topics. Like, yeah, someone unmute. Okay, so efficiency and encryption, these are two separate topics which will be covered in advanced topics. Okay, I'm not going to cover them now. And mirror aggregate, as I told you, maybe I can cover it today, later today, if time permits, or else I'll do it on Monday. Okay. Next thing is modify. We saw that by using modify command. Okay, by using modify command, I can change the settings on existing aggregate. I can change the RAID group size. I can change the RAID type. Yeah, all the things. you can change the settings. Okay. But there are some things you need to consider whenever you are changing the write type and all. Yeah, that is not that easy task. Okay. But you can change the settings by using modify command. Next thing is object store. Object store is also will be covered in advanced topics. Okay. Offline. As I told you, if you want to bring your aggregate offline, yeah, you can run this command and your aggregate will be offline and no one will be able to access the data from that's stored in your aggregate. Whenever you want to bring it online, just simply aggr online and aggregate name. That's it. It will bring the aggregate online again, and the data will on the aggregate will be available to everyone. Next, and online, yeah. Plex also, I'm going to talk about it in when I'm talking about the mirror aggregate concept. Okay, let's leave it for now. Yeah. Next, we have two topics called reallocation and relocation. These two are very important. Okay, these two are very important. Let's see what is reallocation first. Anyone has knowledge on Windows normal, even on Windows 10 or Windows 7 as well? Do we have Windows XP as well? Good knowledge on any of them? Have you ever heard disk fragmentation or defragmentation?
Yeah, I heard, but I don't have that knowledge, Naveen.
Cool, cool. This is a feature which is available to you in all the Windows operating systems, which will improve your laptop performance. I'll tell you how. The same concept, reallocation is also same concept. So, for example, this is your hard drive. Okay, let's assume that. So normally, as I told you, your hard drive will be literally it will be divided into small chunks. I can say that. Okay, chunks. I cannot draw lines across all the rectangular one. Okay, just I'm drawing few things. Okay, chunks. Normally, whenever you copy some data, the data will be divided into small chunks in the background by file system, and it will be copied. The data will be copied into the chunks. Okay, whenever you delete the data, those chunks will become free. Okay, for example, I copied some data here, like a 50 GB data here folder, okay, and 100 GB folder here, and 10 GB folder here, 20 GB folder here, like that. Okay, later I have deleted this data, this 100 GB data. Okay, so when I deleted the data, whatever the chunks it used to copy the data, right? All all of them will be free, right? But like, see, again, the free chunks will be available here. Whenever it is writing the data, whenever it is trying to write the data to the hard disk, what it will do, it has to search for the availability of free chunks, right? It can write the data in free chunks only. Now I have few free chunks here. Okay, because I deleted this data, and let's assume that I have deleted this data as well, then I have few free chunks here, like that. I have free chunks, some few free chunks here, few here, like that, right? They are not in a single place. So that what it has to do, it has to write the data, some of the data here, and it has to write the sum of the data here, like that. It has to distribute the data in all the places, so which will add additional delay in data writing. Okay, and also whenever you are trying to read the data also, it has to search here for that particular data, and it has to search here as well, right? Which will add again degrade the read performance as well, right? True. So what this disk defragmentation or fragmentation will do, okay, it will scan your entire hard disk. Okay, sorry, not hard disk, like a drive, you can say that. C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, right? So what it will do, it will bring all the free chunks one side. Okay, it will bring all free chunks to one side. Okay, let's assume that all free chunks brought here and all used chunks to this side. So that whenever it is writing the data, it don't need to search for the free chunks, right? Because all my free chunks are available here. So it will write the data, which will improve the write performance, right? And also, whenever it is writing the data, it stored that particular data in a single location. So whenever it is reading the data also, it don't need to search for the entire disk, right? Drive. It can only, it will get the data from a single location. So which will improve the read performance as well, right? The same concept with a reallocation. Whenever, okay, you perform a reallocation on top of your aggregate, you keep on creating logical partitions and assign them to the clients. Clients will keep on writing data, deleting the data, and creating the volumes, creating the logical partitions and deleting the logical partitions, right? Which will add empty blocks and used blocks mixed together. Okay, add yeah, used chunks and free chunks mixed together. So if you run a reallocation on top of your aggregate, what it will do, it will segregate the chunks based on their occupation. Like it will bring all the free chunks to one side and all the used chunks to one side in your aggregate, so that it will improve the performance of your aggregate. Did you got it? This is how you need to do. In laptop also you can do it, as I told you. This will help you. So what you need to do, properties, tools, see, defragment, optimize. Sorry, let me bring it here. Yeah, optimize. So you need to select which drive you want to optimize. Okay. First you need to analyze it. So it will analyze, like, do we have any data which is spread across all the disk? Like after that, you need to click on optimize. Actually, I don't have anything. It will complete quickly. But if you have chunks uh, mix it together, like free chunks and used chunks, then what it will do, it will take some time to complete this. Okay, this is for just a off topic tip for you. But do this whenever you are not doing anything. Like whenever you are doing something, whenever you are running some application, or whenever you are watching a movie, this kind of stuff, uh, it will, because it is a background process which will consume some RAM and CPU, so which might impact your work. Okay, yeah. Did you got it, or any questions? Same thing, reallocation also will help to improve the aggregate performance by segregating the used chunks and free chunks. Okay, so actually you can run it manually or you can schedule it as well. Okay, reallocation start aggregate name. Reallocation show. See, it is queued. That means it is running. Okay, like that. Or if you want, you can schedule it. Okay, run reallocation on this aggregate every Sunday, something like that. Okay, you can use a cron, like there are some cron jobs which we'll talk about them, not now, later. You can use those cron jobs, so that based on the cron job means nothing but a pre-configured schedule on your NetApp. Okay, you can use those schedules, so that based on the schedule, it will run the reallocation on the aggregate. Normally this invalid schedule, I don't know. Okay, maybe that was not there, that is not there. Okay, normally you need to specify the schedule when it has to run. Okay, based on that schedule, it will run the reallocation on the aggregate. Normally we'll set it in weekends, like non-business hours, Sunday, Saturday, something like that. Okay. Next thing is relocation. Don't confuse between these two. Reallocation is different. Relocation is different. Okay. So my aggregate show command here. Now my aggregate is on top of node 1, right? Cluster 1 hyphen 01. That means node 1. But by using this relocation command, I can move this aggregate from node 1 to node 2. Okay. And one more thing, guys, just remember this relocation can be possible within the HA pair, the nodes within the HA pair. That means if I have aggregate on node 1, I can move it to node 2. Or if I have aggregate on node 2, I can move it to node 1 because node 1 and node 2 are in single HA pair. Let me draw a diagram. Okay, let's assume I have a 4 node cluster. Okay, these two are HA pair. Okay, these two are HA pair, but all of them together they're a cluster, right? And I have an aggregate here. Now I can relocate this aggregate to node 2. Okay, and I have an aggregate on node 2. I can relocate this aggregate to node 1 because these two controllers are part of HA pair. Relocating the aggregate is possible only the nodes within the HA pair. It is not possible to relocate this aggregate to node 3 or node 4. It is not possible because they are part of a different HA pair. And why it is not possible? Because as I told you, disk shells will be connected to only the nodes within the HA pair, right? I told you these aggregates will be configured on top of nodes, right? That is the reason it is not possible. And these HA pairs will be having different set of shells connected to them. You can relocate the aggregate on node 3 to node 4 and node 4 to node 3. But you cannot do it to node 2 or node 1. Okay, like that. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this aggregate to node 2. Let's see how. Nothing. In the background, it will change the ownership of the drives as well, which are under so far under node 1 to node 2. GGR, relocation, start. Okay, which node that particular aggregate is in, which node you are moving to. Okay, current node, destination node, and what is the aggregate. Actually I have only one data aggregate, that is the reason it popped up this aggregate name automatically. If you have multiple data aggregates, it will ask you which aggregate you want me to move. Okay. Override where to relocate to higher version, all these are not required. Actually you can just leave it. These all can be used only when you are doing it manually during the on tap upgrade. Okay, let's leave that. Now a GGR relocation show, if you run this command, see it's completed, done. Now if you check a GGR show, see right now this aggregate is on top of node 2. Earlier it was on node 1. Again, in order to perform this activity also, you do not require any downtime. There is no downtime required for aggregate relocation. Sorry, relocation. Okay, this is an online activity. Any questions? Now you understand the difference between relocation and reallocation, right? Don't get confused because these two are similar words. Okay, let's proceed. Now rename. Rename is pretty simple. Nothing. If you want to change the name of aggregate, yeah, you can do that. Rename. What is your new aggregate name? AGGR1. That's it. Now if you see AGGR show, it will show you as AGGR1. Restrict. Actually, this is also a useless option mostly. Okay, restrict means nothing but it will restrict your aggregate. That means your aggregate will go to restricted mode. When you see AGGR1 status now, it is restricted. It is similar like offline. Same thing. Whenever your aggregate is restricted, you'll be not able to access the data which you stored on top of this aggregate. Okay, but earlier in older ONTAP versions, this restricted has some purpose. In older ONTAP version, there is a way that you can copy the data from one aggregate to another aggregate by using a option called aggregate copy. That time, whenever you are copying the data from one aggregate to another aggregate, you need to restrict the destination aggregate so that no one can use that aggregate. Okay, that is the purpose. Actually, they kept this option, but right now there is no way to copy the data from one aggregate to other aggregate by using aggregate copy. They removed that aggregate copy option, so it doesn't make any sense why they have not removed restricted. Okay, yeah, but whenever if it is in restricted mode, no one can access the data on top of this. Excuse me. Yeah, in this aggregate. But whenever you want to bring it back to normal state, same command online, aggr online and aggregate name. Even if it is online or offline or restricted state, if you want to bring it back to normal state, then it is a online only. Okay, when you run aggr show, see again it came back to online state. Next, completed resynchronization, and again it belongs to mirror aggregate. Okay, let's leave it for now. Scrubbing, very good and important option. Okay, so I don't know that if you remember it or not. I told you, right? Our hard disk. Okay, this is the middle part of the hard disk, which we'll call it as shaft, right? And these are the okay blocks of my disk. Okay, and we'll be having small logical partitions on top of the disk. So actually the data will be copied to the small partitions only. What we'll call them? We'll call them as either we can call them as sectors, or we can call them as chunk also. Okay, and actually the data will be copied to the small partitions only, logical ones. Okay, sectors or chunks. Normally, due to some hardware failures or due to some media failures, okay, these chunks will become unreadable. That means whatever the data stored on this chunk will we might lose it if it becomes unavailable. Okay, that will be a problem, right? Okay, that will be a risk to my data. So we have a mechanism called scrubbing, scrub and media scrub. Actually, we have two processes, scrub and media scrub. Okay, say these two will work in the same way, but there is a little difference between these two. We'll talk about that later or in maybe in advanced concepts. Okay, so the scrub or media scrub, what it will do, it will keep on running on all the disks and all the disks under aggregate all the time. I mean, like according to the schedule or according to the whenever we run that command, okay, it will scan all these sectors and it will find the bad sectors or bad chunks. Bad sector means nothing but same thing. Yeah, whichever become unreadable. Okay, it will find the bad sectors. First, what it will do, it will try to rectify the bad sector. It will try to repair it. If it is not possible to repair, then what it will do, it can retrieve the data from that bad sector and it will copy the data into a healthy sector, a healthy sector. Okay, so that our data, we are not going to lose our data. Okay, and one more thing, if the bad sector count keep on increasing on any disk, then it will mark that particular disk as failed disk. You know how disks got failed? Disks will be failed based on the bad sector ratio on your disk. Not only this disk, even your laptop also will contain a disk with the same architecture, same design and all. So whenever the bad sector count that got increased on your laptop hard disk, your hard disk is going to crash. You'll get a blue screen and all, right? How? Based on that only. So you need to maintain your hard disk healthy so that it will not run into issues. Like you need to do a frequently defragment it, like that. You need to do these kind of things. Okay. Any questions on scrubbing? First, it will try to repair that bad sector. If it is not possible, then it will retrieve the data and it will copy the data to a healthy sector and it will mark that sector as a bad sector, so that whenever any new data enters into the disk, the data will be not copied into that bad sector again. Okay. So yeah. So media scrub will be enabled by default, but the scrubbing, if you want, you need to enable it, or else media scrub can do the work for you. Yeah. So AGGR scrub aggregate name. Okay. Action. If you run status, it will show you is it running or not, like that. It will show you. See, it is showing false. I mean, it is not showing anything actually. Okay, that means it is not running. If you want to run scrubbing, AGGR scrub aggregate name action. If you run start, then what it will do? Immediately it will initiate the scrubbing. Now, if you check the status command, if you run the status command, see, it is running scrubbing process on my aggregate. Actually, you can run it on a particular write group, or you can run it on a particular plex, or you can run it on entire aggregate as well. It's your wish. You can specify that. But as here, I have only one write group in this aggregate. It is running on entire aggregate directly. But if you want, you can specify to run it on a particular write group also. Okay. Right now, it is completed 1%. See, once it completes the scan, it will stop it. Okay. If you want, but only thing is, guys, it is not recommended to run the scrubbing process during the business hours, production hours. You need to run these kind of procedures in non-business hours only, so that it will not impact the performance of your controller, because it will consume lot of CPUs and memory from your controller, which might impact the your day-to-day operations. So whenever it is still running in a business hours, if you found that it is impacting your array performance, controller performance, what you can do, you can stop it. You can suspend it. Suspend means nothing but a pass. Okay. Stop means you are stopping it permanently, the current running operation, not scrubbing process. Current running operation, you are stopping it. When again you need to start it, so that it will run from the starting. But when you suspend it, it will pass there. Whenever you want, you can resume it. Okay. Now if you run status command again, it will show you it completed 18% and it is in suspended state. That means I have passed it. It will be stay there. Now whenever I want, what I can do, I can resume it. So it will start from there. You don't need to run it from the beginning. Okay. Now let's check the status again. See, it will start from 18 only. 19 it completed. Now if I run stop instead of suspend, it is going to stop the process. So whenever you want to do that, you need to start it again, which will start from the beginning. See, I don't see any percentage here. Okay. Any questions, guys? Someone unmuted. Okay. And not only this, if you want, you can schedule it as well. There is a command called raid options. Show, if you run this command, it will show you all the disk related options. Okay. Raid options show. Actually, it is a storage RAID option. So the full command is, but shortcut command is RAID option show. And here you'll be able to see few settings related to scrubbing. See here, scrub schedule, scrub performance impact, like that on both the nodes. This is the scrub settings on node 1. Okay. Here also we have a scrub settings on node 2. You can configure a schedule by using this command, and you can set the impact of the scrubbing. Let me show you. I'll show you all the options right now. Right options, modify. Right now, no schedule is configured. See, none. Now what I'm going to do, I'm using star here instead of a node number, because you know, right? I already told you star means wildcard entry. So it will run on all the nodes. I mean, it will consider all the numbers there in that position. Okay. Which option you want to modify? That option you want to put it, sorry, under name. Okay. I want to change this option. What is the value? Now you need to put the schedule here when you want to run it. I want to run it at Saturday at the rate 23. Yes, that's it. Now check the run the show command. See, earlier I don't have any schedule. Earlier I don't have any schedule. See, it is empty there. Now if you see, I have configured schedule. So according to the schedule, every Saturday at 23 means 11 p.m. it will run the it will start the scrubbing procedure. Okay. Now what is the perf impact? So generally by default it will set to low. That means whenever the scrubbing is running, the impact will be low. But whenever you set the impact to low, it will take a lot of time to complete the scrubbing procedure. So based on the impact you set, the time span of the scrubbing procedure will be impacted. That means there will be very less performance impact whenever you're running scrubbing according to this low setting, but it will run like 12 hours or 13 hours approximately, I'm saying. Okay. But if you set it to medium here, then it can be completed in 8 hours or something like that. If you set it to high here, but the performance impact is very high, I mean that whenever it is running, it will consume more CPU and the resources from your controller. It will prioritize the scrubbing process so that the scrubbing can be completed in 4 hours or 3 hours. But during that time, your array will be impacted with high performance issues. I mean, other operations will might impact. Okay. So that again, you can set it, modify wildcard entry, option perf impact. Oh, not that. Yeah, impact value medium. You can do that. See, now I set it to medium. Okay. Any questions, guys? Okay. Either you can run the scrub manually or you can schedule it. Media underscore scrub by default it will be enabled. So there is no way to no option to disable it or enable it. But you can set the rate, how what is the maximum time it can run, like that. You can set something related to media underscore scrub, but there is no option to disable that media underscore scrub. Okay. Earlier it used to be there, but now they removed it. Okay. Next, show you already know. Show auto provision also we saw that whenever you used auto provision, you to check the status, you can use this command. Efficiency and show efficiency, these cumulative efficiency, show efficiency, these all again and comes under efficiency. So we'll talk about them whenever we are discussing the efficiency. We have a separate class for that. Racing status, again it will come under mirror aggregate. Show scrub status, nothing but it will again a separate command to check the scrub status on all the aggregates. That's it. You can use either the previous command as well to check the status, or you can run this command as well. And show space, This I don't want to discuss it here because it will make you a little complicated, because it will show you in detail information about your aggregate, like how much used, what space allocated for what, those kind of things. Okay, let's ignore it for now. Okay, we are going to cover it in advanced topics, because the metadata, so many things will be involved here. That's why I don't want to discuss those things here. That's starting up the classes. Show status, you already know that, right? By running this command, it will give us the layout of the aggregates. See, this is the agar 0 node 1 layout. This is the agar 0 node 2 layout. As I told you, it will pick only 3 disks for root aggregate, not for non-ADP disks, to create a root aggregate with RAID DP. Okay. Yeah. Verify again, it will come for mirror aggregate, not for the normal aggregate. Okay. Any questions, guys? Cool. Okay, let's stop it for today. Okay. Monday again we'll discuss. We'll start mirror aggregate concept. So by that we'll be able to. I mean, we are done with the aggregates concept. We'll start a new concept on Monday. Okay. Chalo. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Have a nice.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.